series, which is sponsored by BHS and in partnership with MAD, Mothers Against Drunk Driving, the LA County FNL Partnership, and ADAP, Asian American Drug Abuse Program, and as well as SBC3, South Bay Communities Creating Change. So like I said, thank you for joining us today. People are entering as I'm talking, so I want to welcome everyone. So a little bit about Growing Prevention. It's an online workshop series via Zoom designed to develop substance abuse professionals, community members, elected officials, law enforcement agencies, and parents on topics that will enhance our careers, communities, and homes. So we're doing this through education, connection, and resources. Today we are having a wonderful workshop by Jen Harris. It's called Speak Up. Jen is a prevention coordinator. Look at this cute little baby picture of her, adorable. I'm gonna read her bio and then we will get started. So Jen Harris works to co-power youth, parents, and communities in Los Angeles County, prioritizing leadership development, drug prevention, and social justice issues. In 2015, Jen Harris began working at Behavioral Health Services, Inc., a Los Angeles County-based nonprofit primarily focused on substance abuse prevention and treatment as the South Bay Prevention Coordinator. Among her many responsibilities, she coordinates the Drugs Kills Dreams program, which teaches youth ages 11 to 17 real ways to say no to drugs. She and her team partner with law enforcement agencies to coordinate RX take-back events, work with elected officials to advocate for policies to protect youth, and coordinate their annual Drug Kills Dreams Youth Summit. With Jen's leadership and vision, the South Bay Prevention Program has grown to touch many lives. In her first almost 5 years with the organization, she has had many accomplishments, some of which are receiving Employee of the Quarter and Employee of the Year for 2017, applying and receiving funding as the only Los Angeles County contractor to work on youth problem gambling, presenting nationally about her program at the National and North American Cannabis Summits, and statewide at the Statewide Substance Use Disorder Conference, securing approval from the Torrance Unified School District for her program to be in all TUSD middle and high schools, consulting with the state of Illinois to help them develop environmental scans for the city of Chicago, and being interviewed by Torrance City Cable's News Break Live program. Jen was also selected to present at the Global Alcohol Policy Conference in Dublin, Ireland, but unfortunately COVID-19 took away. In June 2019, Jen Harris founded Connected to Lead, an organization whose mission is to create space for people of all ages to make meaningful connections while strengthening the leader within them. She ran a pilot program called Lead Now, where participants between the ages of 21 and 49 attended 3 full-day sessions filled with workshops on leadership development, self-care, relationship building, mental health resources, and career strategies. I was part of that. It was great. Outside of the office, Jen enjoys going to church, volunteering, event planning, and bowling. She is the treasurer and former chair of the Gardena Drug and Alcohol Abuse Prevention Task Force and has served as a Human Services Commissioner with the City of Gardena, president of the El Camino Lions Club, and event chair with the Relay for Life of Gardena. She is a volunteer with Share a Meal, providing burritos and water to people living on the street in Skid Row. Among her many skills, Jen Harris is a certified grant writer and has worked with organizations on strategic planning, capacity building, organizing, supervision, and fundraising. Jen has said, if I don't do anything else, I look to inspire, encourage, and motivate. I look to connect people to resources and make a difference, even if I only touch the life of one person. So I'm going to pass it over to the wonderful Jen Harris, and she will take it from here.
Thank you, Tosin. How's everyone doing? I want to hear some feedback. How's everyone doing?
Great. How are you doing?
Fabulous.
Great, fabulous. I love it.
That's looking fabulous, Jen.
Well, thanks, Mel. I appreciate that.
Nice to meet you virtually. I look forward to meeting you in person.
Yes, hi Lee. Lee will be doing one of our workshops coming up. Yes, she will be doing two of our workshops actually. So one on facilitation and the other one focused on curriculum development. So I'm excited about that. I've just muted everyone, by the way. We are going to get into it. Thanks for the feedback. And thank you, Tosin, very much for being our host for today. I am going to share my screen so we can get into it. All right, so today's focus is on public speaking, and it is titled Speak Up. And so I mentioned for those of you who participated yesterday that you should get ready because you will have an opportunity to participate today. So for those of you who do not have your videos on, if you can work up enough courage to put your video on, that would be helpful. I'm sure everyone is looking beautiful and lovely and wonderful, whether you're still in bed or it took you about 2 hours to get from your bed to your kitchen. I'm sure you still look great. So we're gonna get into it. But first, today is Melissa and Tosin's birthdays. So I would like for us to sing happy birthday. Once I can get this figured out, we're gonna unmute everybody, and I'm gonna count down, and we'll sing happy birthday. So 1, 2, 3.
Happy birthday
To you.
Happy
Happy
birthday
birthday
to
to you. Happy birthday, dear Tosin. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you all. Thank you all very much for that. Even with the feedback in the background, seriously, happy birthday to Melissa and Tosin. You all were born on a tax day. So hopefully folks celebrate you and give you lots of love and support because today is an awesome day. So happy birthday again. Let's move forward. So I would like for you all to meet me. You heard my bio, and just so you can get to know me a little bit more, my relationship with God is most important to me. My two favorite things to do are volunteering and event planning. My favorite foods are chicken tamales from Diana's with chili on top from Cherry Stone. So if you have not tried that, it will be great. It would definitely be great for you to try it. They are both located in Gardena and they make awesome food. I have two sisters and am the middle child. No, I do not have the middle child syndrome. Well, maybe, yes, I do have middle child syndrome, but that's because that is a real thing. And all my middle child folks know that that is a real thing. My favorite sports teams are the Knicks, the Packers, the Trojans, and the Yankees. And my least favorite teams, you know, the ones that disgust me are the Lakers, the Cowboys, the Bruins, and the Dodgers. It's okay. We don't need to discuss it. If you're a fan, suck it up. I don't like them. And fortunately, sports are canceled, so we can't see the Lakers continue losing. So anyways, and lastly, honestly,
Wow.
I live to increase I live to increase my impact every day. And I'm appreciative to be here with you all. So we're gonna have some fun. We are going to have a poll. We're going to have an opportunity for some folks to speak. And this is a 3-part series. So within our 3 parts, within our 3 parts for this, we have the ability to learn a lot of different tools, and it will be spread out throughout the 3 weeks. So most of you have signed up for both sessions We will have a third the following week on a Friday at on a Wednesday at 10 a.m. And you'll get that information. Just a little bit about BHS. We are a nonprofit that's been open since 1973. We have had an opportunity to do some amazing work throughout Los Angeles County, and also moving into Orange County. We primarily provide prevention and treatment services. We have several different locations that either do detox, inpatient, outpatient treatment, or provide prevention or primary care. So we have some health centers that are located in LA County and one in Orange County that provides prenatal care, primary care, and a lot of other things. We also have several sober living locations as well. And with our South Bay Prevention Program, which I am blessed to coordinate, our focus is to educate youth and community members about drugs and reduce youth access to drugs, pass policies related to youth drug consumption, and protect our youth and community. So we have the ability to do some amazing work, primarily within the cities of Torrance and Lomita. However, because our office is located in Gardena, we get to partner with ADAP and doing some work there. And then additionally, we've been fortunate enough to do work throughout LA County. And in my bio, you read, be able to travel and present nationally. So we're also in the process of advocating for a social host ordinance in the city of Torrance. We have our Drugs Heal Dreams program, which we've been doing for the last 5 years. That's been extremely successful in educating young people on real ways to say no to drugs and focusing on healthy alternatives. So our objectives for today, for the next 3 weeks actually, will be to individually assess your public speaking skills and identify areas of improvement and develop a plan of action to improve or strengthen the public speaking skills that you currently have. Additionally, obtaining or improving your public speaking skills by practicing methods and techniques used in giving presentations, having conversations, talking to the media, addressing city council, tabling at an event, or any other opportunity you can think of to use your public speaking skills. So we're actually going to do a poll right now that's focused on agree or disagree. So these are our topics. So I enjoy giving a speech or oral presentation to a group of people. When I am speaking, I watch my audience to be sure they are listening to me. When I give a speech or oral presentation, I am able to hold everyone's attention. I use gestures and body language effectively when I speak. I make eye contact with my audience, and I get nervous anytime I give a speech or oral presentation. So within the poll, if you select agree, that means that you do that thing. If you select disagree, that means that you do not do that thing. So the poll should have popped up or should be popping up. And what I would like for you to do is select agree or disagree for each of the questions. So, okay, folks have started voting. All right, so about 68 people have voted. We'll give it a couple more minutes. So it looks like 75% of folks have voted. So let's give it a couple more seconds and then we will see what our poll results say. All right, countdown, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We are closing the poll. And I am going to share the results. So we have 22% of folks, or 22 folks that say that they enjoy giving a speech or oral presentation to a group of people. We have 16 people that are like, nope, I do not enjoy it. And that's okay. We're going to talk about that today. Then additionally, for question 2, or statement 2, when I'm speaking, I watch my audience to be sure they are listening to me. So there were 35 people who said yes, they do. And there were 3 people who said they do not watch their audience. So I'm curious to know why you selected that, because that's very interesting. For statement 3, when I give a speech or oral presentation, I am able to hold everyone's attention. So we have 20 people who said yes, they agree with that statement, and 18 people who said nope, they disagree. Question or statement 4, I use gestures and body language effectively when I speak. So we have 24 people who said agree, and we have 14 people who said they disagree. And statement 5, I make eye contact with my audience. So we have 33 people that said they agree, and we have 5 people who said they disagree. So that one is curious to me, because there earlier when we talked about making sure, what was the statement? It was that you're able to hold everyone's attention. And there were only 3 people who said they disagree. So for the 2 people who agreed with that first statement but disagree with this one, I'd be curious to know why, if you're connecting with your audience or making sure that you're able to hold their attention, how do you know that if you're not making eye contact? So very interesting. And statement 6, I get nervous anytime I give a speech or oral presentation. So we have 31 people who agreed with that, and we have 7 people who disagreed with that. So that's also interesting. And I do hear that a lot, that there are a lot of people who get nervous when they are speaking. And I want to let you know, I get a lot of feedback with all of the presentations and trainings and things that I do. And there are folks that will come up to me and say, wow, you did such an amazing job. And I'm thinking, oh, okay, cool. But I know that I am extremely hard on myself, and I am my best and worst critic. And so but as I'm thinking about that though, I'll think about the fact that oftentimes I am nervous because before I'm going to speak somewhere. And a part of it for me though is the excitement that turns into some form of anxiousness because I'm just ready to do it. And the other part of it is I might not really know what to expect. And that could cause a part of my nervousness. So we're actually going to have an opportunity for you all to connect with one another, and we are going to do some speed dating. So I see there are a lot of folks whose videos aren't showing, and you don't have to let us know that you've speed dated before, because there may be several people on here that you may have speed dated with one another and you don't even realize. So we just gonna keep it like that. But speed dating, essentially, you are going on many dates. You have an opportunity to connect with different people via a date. And so within that, we usually do this in person, and it is great in person. So we are going to try this out with a breakout room. So you're going to be partnered with someone in a breakout room. You're going to be given a question, and you will share your response to the question with your partner. Everyone will come back to the main group in 3 minutes, and we're going to see if it will put you into new groups or new partners to ask a different question, ask and answer a different question. And so I want you all to take this opportunity to get to know one another, but additionally, I want you to have fun. So this is an opportunity for you to connect, but also making sure that you have fun. So our first statement or question I would like for all of you to briefly talk about a time when you did really well while public speaking. So you are going to get in a group with your partner, and you are going to talk about how a time that you did really well when you were public speaking. And so I am going to put you into your breakout rooms. One sec while I set this up. All right.
Jen, a couple people just joined. I don't know if you want to repeat just real quick what we're doing.
Sure. We are going to be doing a speed dating activity. And within our speed dating activity, everyone will have the opportunity to respond to whatever the question is, or answer or give a statement about whatever it is. So this first one, you're going to briefly talk about a time when you did really well while public speaking. So you're going to be doing that within your group and or with your partner as an opportunity to be able to connect. So let's go to our breakouts. And so everyone will be placed in a room. And so remember, you're briefly going to talk about a time when you did really well while public speaking. And so we're going to give you three minutes. And so your breakout room should be opening for you to be able to go into them. Oh, do I have to unmute everybody?
Materials that we need and, getting just settled in. I think it was a little bit hard because we were just like getting really started in our campaign. But that's not a problem. The safety and health of everybody else is important. And yeah, I try to stay busy and live with my sister too, and she's working from home too. So we're making it work. Eating a lot of food from here. I haven't eaten out in the whole time, so that's definitely been a really good change, even though I really miss food outside. But it's been great. I mean, it hasn't been great, but it's getting better, and just trying to do everything we can to make sure that we get through this. So I'll pass it to Sean.
Shannon, are you on? Can we hear you? Don't think she's on.
She said her mic isn't working.
Okay.
So you're here in spirit. We're not forgetting.
Hope you're doing well, Shannon. And I think we have somebody else from YLI, right?
No, I don't think we have Crystal on.
Crystal's not on? I thought
it
I
was
saw
just
her. Okay. Oh, her mic isn't working either. But hi, Crystal.
wow.
You. Hope you're doing well. If either of you have any updates or anything that you want to add on the chat box, we'd be more than happy to share that out with the group. But for now, we'll go ahead and move on to Fame.
Also, I was just going to say, for those whose mics are not working, if you want to dial in with your phone, and then, we just want to make sure everyone has an opportunity to be heard. So, feel free to do that as well if your mic is not working.
And we'll come back to you if you want to give us an update.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Hi, Deidre.
Hi, Deidre.
As far as personally,
for the entire team, it took us a little while to get adjusted to this new work-life balance, working from home and whatnot. For me, I started working out. I have a rooftop. I've had one, but I've never used it. But now, now that I have time, I've been going to the rooftop workout every day.
Hello.
It's really nice.
Oh, hey, I thought we were joining in,
So I
everybody.
think that's
I
been
got
my,
somebody to meet.
my go-to thing from Spain. Like Monse, I miss eating out. I miss eating with friends. I miss friends. All of that. But as far as work, we are working on our narrative summaries as well. We got the approval last week. All of our KIs have been approved.
All right.
We're trying to
So,
contact our members to see if we can have a coalition meeting here by
I'm
the end
gonna
of the month
share screen.
via Zoom.
Uh-oh, it sounds like there's something else going on in the background.
Yeah.
It's okay. We're gonna mute.
That's all that I have. Griselda,
We're gonna
Diego,
mute
you guys have anything else?
everyone. So,
Just updates. Same as what you just said.
They're in.
all right. So there were some folks who ended up getting knocked out. And so there were people who were in a breakout room by yourself. So I apologize about that. We are going to go through our second question. And instead of doing all three, we're just going to do two. And so you'll go into a new breakout and have an opportunity to talk. I may move you into another breakout if I see that someone has not joined their breakout room, and we will go from there. So with that, I would like for you to focus on briefly talk. So we're going to do number 3. So briefly talk about a time when you noticed someone not doing so well while public speaking. Someone not doing so well while public speaking. What about it stood out, and what could they have done differently? So what stood out, and what could they have done differently? All right, so we are going to move you all into your rooms. Room 2.
Jim,
Yes.
I was in a breakout room alone.
Okay, so we will get you moved. Thanks for letting me know.
Sure.
What? I need to find your breakout room. It's saying that you haven't joined, so let's just put you in 10. Okay, did it move you over to a new room? Nora? Ooh. That's a lot. All right, so we have folks coming back from your breakout rooms, and I moved some folks into new rooms when I saw that you were by yourselves. So hopefully you were able to share. We still have several folks who are still in their breakout rooms, so we should be getting them back over. All right, so this is what we're gonna do. I would like for you to raise your hand and provide some feedback on something that was shared in your breakout. So if you go to, I believe it's the reactions area, there should be an opportunity for you to raise your hand. Am I correct, Tosin? No? Melissa? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, you can raise your hand.
In the chat, but the reactions is just clap or thumbs up.
Okay, so not in the chat. Let's go to manage participants, or where is it?
If you go to, yeah, you click on manage participants, and then you go, you see on the bottom, if you hit more.
Okay, so then there should be a hand raising option. So I would like for a couple people to share. So, all right, so I have unmuted you, Tauber. How do you pronounce your name?
Terrace.
Terrace. I have unmuted you. So what is something that was shared in your breakout room?
So something that I shared was when there's a lack of engagement between the speaker and the audience, because it can be like a monologue or it can be like a dialogue to where the audience can interact and engage with the speaker, or the speaker, if it's like a monologue, then the speaker just has to have key points, staying on topic and on point so that the audience doesn't get lost.
Right, yes, that's very good. How about one more person to share something that was shared in your breakout? You could raise your hand and I will call on you. Melissa.
So is this just the first or the second breakout we did, or the first one as
First
well?
or the second one?
So in our first one, we both were trying to think of something when times were normal, but we thought, you know, using Zoom now, since I did mine on Monday, I thought that actually went really well. I was like really nervous because even though I've spoken to bigger groups in person, it's different. It's just a different feel. So we both felt like some recent Zooms that we did were our shining moments.
Awesome. That's awesome to hear. And I think that is something great to acknowledge. We are, with everything that's happening with COVID-19, folks are starting to become resourceful. They're getting creative, innovative, thinking outside the box. And now is the opportunity to really develop your skill around public speaking, because I can see you through a screen and yes, you're still a person and you're real. However, it's a different feel when all of you, all 40 of you are sitting right in front of me, right? Very different, because I can see your body language. I can see your faces for those of you who have them covered. I can see so many different things and I can feel your energy, right? There's not a lot that there are some things I can get out of Zoom, but it's not the same as if this were to have been in person, right? So whether you're doing a presentation or you're tabling at an event or whatever it is a very different feel when you're connecting with folks. So this is great. I'm appreciative that folks shared. So we're going to go to our next slide. So I wanted to talk briefly about fear, because in the poll, interestingly, there were folks who responded regarding feeling nervous. A lot of times it's due to anxiousness, it's due to some form of worry or doubt or fear that may come about. And so I wanted to talk about what if, and to really put it in a different perspective that you may or may not have heard. So when we look at fear, the definition of fear is an unpleasant, often strong emotion caused by anticipation or awareness of danger, or to be afraid of something. And so instead of you all answering what are some common types of fears, I'll just say some. Spiders. There are a lot of people who are afraid of spiders. There are people who are afraid of eating peanuts because they have a peanut allergy. There are people who are afraid of roller coasters or heights or getting behind the wheel of a car. There are so many things that people are afraid of, right? Even taking risks. There are a lot of people who are afraid of doing that. So I want you to take a moment and think about what you are afraid of. Whatever it is, it doesn't have to be related to public speaking, but think about what are you afraid of? What's that thing that may be debilitating for you? It may hold you back, whatever it is. And I want you to think about what if you weren't afraid of that thing, right? So now put that into the context of public speaking. If you are afraid of public speaking or have some sort of anxiety or fear, or if you feel you get nervous and there's this buildup of anxiousness, what if you weren't afraid? What if you no longer felt that anxiety before you had to speak or before you were called upon? Like, what if? So think about it. Has fear ever held you back from accomplishing what you should be accomplishing? Has fear ever held you back from being able to get up there and express an idea or to connect with a large group of folks because you were so nervous or so anxious about it? Has fear ever held you back from being the most amazing person that you are able to be? I want you to think about, in regards to public speaking, what is stopping you from removing the fear? There's something there that's stopping you from removing that fear and being able to move forward. And you need to be able to identify what that is in order to move forward. What if you were no longer afraid? What would happen? Like, honestly, what would happen if you were no longer afraid to be able to speak in public? Whether it was large groups or if it were smaller groups, whether it was doing a key informant survey, a key informant interview with an elected official. What if you were no longer afraid and you were able to do that? So Tony Robbins, he talks about ways to be able to leverage fear. He says you need to use fear, otherwise it uses you. And remember, bravery isn't being fearless and unafraid. It's being fearful and doing something anyway. So ways that you can use fear are figuring out what your fear tells you about your current situation and also what it can teach you. So sometimes people will handle their fear by doing something to the extreme. And it could be climbing mountains, it could be skydiving, it could be walking over coals, whatever it is. So there was a young man who was an 11-year-old firewalker, and he explained that you have to mentally prepare for the experience. Otherwise, you surrender to fear, and that will conquer other parts of your life. So when you're doing public speaking, are you surrendering to your fear? Are you letting your nerves work you up so much that you can't even get out there? That you're shaking, that you're nervous, that you can hear the trembling in your voice? Are you letting your fear conquer what you are trying to do? It's important for you to understand that there are a lot of people who experience fear with public speaking. It's not anything new. The thing is, are you going to let the fear that you experience with public speaking control you? Because the folks that you are talking to, they're just people. They may be people with a title. They may be people who have a higher ranking position than you. They may be people that can control some form of how you move forward. However, is that it, right? Sometimes we don't have the courage to ask a question or ask for a favor, or when we're doing fundraising, to be able to ask someone to make a donation. And a lot of times it's because of fear. When we think about it, we're afraid that someone is going to say no. We're afraid that we're going to be judged by someone. So when you think about public speaking, it's important for you to be able to overcome your fear, because until you overcome your fear, you won't be able to do what you are supposed to do and to be able to reach your audience in the way that you are supposed to reach them. So fear can mean false evidence appearing real, but fear can also mean facing everything and rising to the occasion. So when you think about fear, are you going to face everything and rise? Or are you going to let false evidence appear real to you? So what if you could get up there, whatever it is, and speak the way that you need to speak and to connect in the way that you need to connect? What if you could? And I want to tell everyone that you can. It's important that you understand that. So when we talk about public speaking, there are 3 principles of public speaking, and there are actually several more, but I wanted to be able to break this down in a simplistic way for everyone to understand. So these 3 things are important, and this is also a part of your pre and post test. So the first is putting the audience first. Who are they? What are they interested in? How do they feel? What do they think? Making sure that you're able to gear your content towards your audience. Something that I tell my team when we're doing presentations is, if I have this vaping presentation that I'm doing and I have these slides, I have the ability to use the same slides for youth, for parents, for law enforcement, for providers, whomever it is, because I have the ability to tailor the information that I'm giving towards those particular groups. The other thing, though, is making sure that I know who my audience is. Sometimes you get thrown into situations and you may not know who you're going to be speaking to, but if you have the ability to know who your audience is, make sure you understand them, make sure you know what are some of the things they're interested in and how you can connect whatever issue or topic you're focused on to what they care about, because they will be able to connect to your message. The other thing is deep speaks to deep. So talk about subjects that really matter to you, especially if you have the opportunity to, and make sure they're deep in your heart. Stories from your life and from your research that move the heart and challenge the mind. When you can connect to people's minds and hearts, that is a great chance and a step in the right direction to be able to get them to focus in on what you're saying. Additionally, leave your audience wanting more. So you want to make sure that you keep focused, you keep to the point, and you know when to stop. Sometimes less is more. And a lot of times there are people who, instead of being concise and they're doing a presentation or they're sharing some information, they want to give the kitchen, the bathroom sink, the tub, the garage. They want to give the full house when all they need to do is just give the bedroom. So it's important that you understand what are those key pieces of information that your audience needs to hear. Now, sometimes there are things that we need to say, right? And it may make whatever we're saying a lot longer. And that is perfectly fine because it is a need. But if you just want to include all of this random information so you can fill up space, don't do it. Don't do it. Make sure that you are connecting with folks, that you are speaking from your heart, and that you are making sure you're sharing information that you need to share. Because people want to be able to get the information, they want to be able to use the information, and they don't want it to take all day for them to get it. So we're going to actually have an opportunity for some of you to do some public speaking right now. So first disclaimer I will say, you do not have to have years of experience with public speaking. I don't even know how many times I've conducted a training or done a presentation, and there are opportunities where my words still don't come out the best, or there's something that I've forgotten, or whatever it is. So this doesn't need to be perfect. You are not going to know your topic beforehand, but we are going to play a game that I like to call 1 minute to fame. So you are going to be given a topic and you are going to speak for 1 minute. I'm going to set a timer. You're going to speak on that topic for 1 minute. Until the timer stops, you must keep going. So even if you're like, I don't know what to say, oh my gosh, you still need to figure out something else to say. And everyone else is going to remain muted, so they will not be able to help you. So with that, let's have a little fun. So I am going to need some volunteers. That means I'm going to need some folks to raise your hand so we can get started. So let's see, do we have some volunteers? You are going to, and also I should say, I'm the type of trainer where if I don't get volunteers, I'll just start calling on folks. So let's do it. Sandy, does that mean you are interested?
Yeah, I volunteered. I don't see the hands up on my end. So.
Oh, that's fine. All right, so we're going to have Sandy go first. So thank you, Sandy, very much. And let me get my timer ready. When you hear the ducks start quacking, then that means you should stop and your 1 minute is up. So you are just going to speak on 1 minute about this particular subject, and everyone is going to listen. So your subject is water. Take it away.
So the importance of water is to hydrate our bodies and our organs. It's very crucial for our organs, especially our mind. Hydration is very important. It helps flush out all the toxins that we have in our body. It helps renew some of our cells. And you have to drink water. If you're a caffeine drinker like I am, then you need to drink an additional 2 cups of water for every cup of coffee that you drink, because that is to replenish the water that you have, the dehydration due to the caffeine that you took in. So drinking water is essential. Estimates is about 8 glasses of water a day. That's not including the water that you need to replace by drinking the caffeine solutions. Let's see here. Everybody, how many cups of water does everybody drink normally? You're going to probably have.
You are done. Great job. Great job, great job, great job. Thank you so much, Sandy. I appreciate that. We are going to take another volunteer. I see Jose. Oh, is that a clap? Jose, you don't want to go? Okay, got it. All right, let's see who else. Let's get another volunteer. All right, Lee. Thank you. So your topic is prescription drugs. When you're ready. Oh, wait,
I'm
you're
sorry, I'm
muted.
having a hard time hearing you.
Okay, so your topic is prescription drugs.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Hi, my name is Leah Lester, and prescription drugs is a very interesting topic for me. I know a lot of you are service providers, so drugs is something that we deal with our clients on a daily basis. But for me personally, it's not something I typically deal with. I'm more of one of those people that would say, let food be thy medicine and medicine be thy food. So I'm very, skeptical when it comes to medication. Recently, I was diagnosed with ADHD, and I didn't know adults could even get it. So I have taken the route of starting a prescription drug treatment. It's been a bit challenging because it kind of goes against my own moral, like what I want for my body. I'm mostly vegan. So, I'm learning, I'm getting there, and I think it will help me kind of connect with my clients a little bit better because I now have this experience, right? And we can connect on that basis. So hopefully, as I learn more, I'll share more about prescription drugs. So.
You are done. Thank you very much, Lee. And you
You're
were
welcome.
able to go through your full minute. All right, so I need 2 more volunteers. So who can we get to volunteer?
You need a reminder about how to raise your hand. You go to manage participants, and then there's a pop-up, and there should be the raise your hand feature before Jen starts calling on people.
Yes, as Jen will call on people. All right, so 10.
Looks like
9.
Jessica has her hand raised.
All right, Jessica. So, are you unmuted, Jessica?
Yes.
Okay, so your topic is cell phones.
Okay, hi everyone. My name is Jessica. I'm from ADAP and my subject is cell phones. So right now we have the controversy of which phone is better, iPhone or Androids. I'm not going to answer that. I'm going to take it way back to when the first time I had my cell phones. Talk about the flip phones, right? I actually like the flip phones. I used to have to wait and tell my friends like, hey, you're running up my minutes. Can you call me back at 9? And then the whole time I'm playing that snake game. Yeah, that was the one that was like keeping me occupied, those snake games. Let's see. After the flip phone, I actually have the Razr phone. That was a really cool phone. It was a sleek phone. Then I went to a Sidekick. I really thought I was like the popular person from my crowd because I used to flip that out and be like, yo, just text me really quick. I just want to see if I received it and I'll text you back. And then right now I actually have an Android phone, but actually my phone.
All right, you are done. Thank you. And see, and Jessica could have kept going. She reached back to her childhood, right? Thank you, Jessica. I appreciate that. Good job. Okay, so let's get one more volunteer. Who can we get? Our last volunteer for this activity. Helen, did you have your hand up earlier? If so, you can unmute yourself. All right, so I am going to call on someone in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, so our lucky contestant for today is going to be Brenda Meza. Oh, Jose, you raised your hand? Okay, so we'll do 2 more. We're going to do Brenda first, and then we're going to do Jose. So Brenda, are you there?
I think so. Can you hear me?
Yes. So welcome to 1 Minute to Fame.
Okay.
All right. So you have 1 minute to do your topic, and your topic is sex.
What?
So you have
so rude.
1 minute. All right, let's go.
Okay. Sex. I think sex is definitely something very challenging to talk about with your children. I think about how much these conversations have changed even within my own family. My mother has a 9-year-old, my little sister, and it's been really interesting to see her have to parent her at this age. And just the conversations are just very, very different. She's a lot, she's just changed her approach with my little sister. Definitely a lot more patient. Yeah, I don't know what else to say.
You have to keep going.
Oh man. I think it's also been interesting to see how her relationship and my relationship with her has changed.
You are done.
That was horrible. That was awful. I can't believe sex of all things.
Well, thank you very much, Brenda, for playing.
Oh, that was awful.
Yes. Round of applause. All right. So, okay. So earlier, Jose, you had your hand up. Would you like to go or no? Yes? Okay, you can unmute yourself.
Got it.
All right. Hi. So
Hello.
you have 1 minute and your topic is Christmas.
Yeah, Christmas. And it's funny how it became a big religious topic. You know, different folks see it for different reasons. Different folks take different meaning to it. I mean, at the end of the day, to me, I think it's just about the kids and showing them whatever your belief is, just explain it to them. You know, they're gonna, once they get older, they're gonna have their own belief. You know, Saint Nick, um, you know, Santa Claus, you know, all the names that he has is just it's crazy. But you know, again, I'll go back to how it just became like a political type of word, you know, in the religious, you know, culture. It's funny how everything changes. I guess when you get older, you start noticing more other things than just the toys and the nice lights. And it's funny with everything going on. I was hearing that a lot of folks were putting up their Christmas lights already because, you know, they say that Christmas lights make people happy.
All right. Thank you very much, Jose. So I want to thank everyone who played. That is something that I really like to do because it shows a lot. It tells a lot. It shows a lot. So there are a couple things I'm going to point out. One, for folks not knowing what the topic was, there may have been some fear that set in, right? Brenda talked about, oh my gosh, like sex, right? The topic. However, think about the angle that she took. So she decided to talk about the conversation, having the conversation with a child, right? If you have children. And that could have gone, she could have gone in so many different directions, right? Even with Christmas, there are so many things you can talk about. And Jose could have focused on his experience as a child and his most favorite gift that he received, or whatever the case may be. Jessica reached back to her childhood and talked about cell phones. However, while they were talking, one, they didn't know what topic they were going to talk about. Just imagine, and they only spoke for a minute, but just imagine how much more amazing they would have been if they knew what they were going to talk about, if they had an opportunity to be able to prepare for it. And so I want to make sure each of you understand that it's going to be important for you to prepare when you're doing public speaking. Sometimes you will be called to speak on the spot, right? Someone will ask you, hey, can you get up there? One of the things that I like to encourage folks to do is One, making sure you develop your 15 to 30-second elevator speech, because you may have an opportunity where you need to talk about yourself. That is like a whole nother training that we can do so folks can develop that skill. But outside of developing your elevator speech, making sure that if you are going somewhere and you have the potential of being called up, that you start preparing prior to. And not that you need to do all this research and things like that, but oftentimes it's connected to something we're connected to. So if you are a board member and there's another board member who's supposed to get up and talk about the organization, you should already know something about the organization that you could talk about, right? Whether it's an upcoming thing or something great that you all have done, or maybe it's whatever that person was going to talk about. The other thing too is maybe you are within your organization, you all plan a youth conference, and there's someone else that's supposed to be going up to talk about a particular thing. What if they ask you to stand in? Do you have something you could say? Maybe they're, hey, we just need you to fill some space. We need you to get up there and fill some space. What can you talk about? What do you know that you can talk about that folks will be able to connect to? And I'm not saying go up there and make a fool out of yourself, but if you're prepared to be able to say some things, then you'll have the ability to get up there and do something great and connect with your audience. So let's go. So we have some other topics: blind dates, yoga, marijuana, dancing, camels, big toes. See, we didn't even get to big toes. So some meat piece, content. This is important. So we're going to talk about content and delivery. So this is on your pre and post test, the grabber. It is the attention getter. So your grabber, just like when you're doing outreach, you want to open up with a question, a shocking statistic, or a personal story, something that is going to draw your audience in. And this is just anywhere. So sometimes when people do surveying, oh, you may go to Target, or maybe they don't do it in front of Target, but Walmart or the grocery store or somewhere, and they're coming to you for a survey. And they'll say, are you a registered voter? That's an attention getter, right? And they're specific. They want to know if you're a voter, because the next question is, will you sign this petition? Now, oftentimes, well, I won't say oftentimes, but sometimes people are like, whew, no, I'm not registered. Knowing darn well that they are registered and they voted in the last election, right? Because maybe they just don't want to do it or whatever. But sometimes, every now and then, there is that person that instead of approaching you with, are you a registered voter, they hook you in with something else. They focus on the issue, right? Because they want to draw you in. Do you have pets? Well, yeah, I have pets. Did you know blah, 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 blah about pets? No, I didn't know that. Are you a registered voter? Yes, I am. Okay, would you mind signing this petition because oh, wow. But they were able to tie into something that I'm saying I have or I'm connected to. Does it take a little bit more time? Yes. But is it worth it at the end of the day? Oftentimes it is, because you're able to connect people to whatever the issue is. Additionally, within your introduction, you can briefly say what you're going to be talking about. So today I'm going to tell you how to make a paper airplane. Something that Lee did, she introduced herself, right? So Lee interestingly, when Sandy went, she didn't introduce herself, and she didn't have to introduce herself, right? Lee introduced herself, and Jessica, after she went, she followed, or after Lee went, Jessica followed suit and introduced herself. Not necessarily because Lee did it. However, being able to have some form of introduction to be able to talk about, let folks know what you're going to be talking about can definitely help provide some context. Now, sometimes it's clear because the flyer specifically said vaping, the dangers, or whatever, right? So folks know that they're coming to hear about the dangers of vaping. However, still being able to provide some sort of introduction is great. Additionally, just like when you're writing an essay, focus on the body. So you want to organize into 3 main points. If you have additional points, that's perfectly fine, but remember, less is more. So it can either be in chronological order, it could be topical, so you can focus on one idea, then move to the next idea, then move to the next idea, or it can be spatial order. So it would be, spatial order would be like describing the elements in some form of logical order. So either right to left or top to bottom. Additionally, you could also focus on the problem and the solution. So what's the problem? Let's focus, since I mentioned vaping. Vaping, youth vaping is the problem. So what are some solutions? Well, reducing access through laws, or I didn't process this part, but you get what I'm saying, right? So you have the ability to come up with a problem and a solution. Additionally, having a conclusion. So briefly restating whatever your main point is. And then always having some form of final thoughts. So returning to your grabber, you could give a quote, you could offer a vision for the future. By reducing youth access to vaping, we have the ability to have young people who are healthy. They have reduced anxiety, and they are making meaningful connections with others. I don't know, but you get what I'm saying, right? By doing this thing, then this great thing could happen. Or you can offer a call to action. So I just gave you all this information, and you need to use this information to talk to your city council members to let them know that this is not right, right? So offering a call to action or something that they can do. And a call to action doesn't have to be this. It could be talking with your children, going online and researching together so you're both informed, things like that. When we talk about delivery, this is also important, because a lot of times I think people focus less on the delivery and more on the content. Like, oh, I'm gonna talk about all of these things. Yes, that's great that you're going to provide these statistics and you're gonna give all of this information. However, are you thinking about your delivery? Because people are also going to connect with your delivery. And I'd say even more so than the content that you provide. So the rate, how fast are you talking? How slow are you talking? Your volume, how loud are you talking? Or how low are you talking? Or when we think about our volume as well, sometimes folks, because they're nervous or they are shy, consider themselves shy or an introvert, sometimes they won't project as loud as someone else does, right? And sometimes people are like, and you see them sitting in their seats and they're like leaning forward because they're trying to hear you, and they're not saying like, hey, we can't hear you, right? So think about that when you think about your volume and your pitch, right? The highness or lowness of your voice. Sometimes people are so pitchy, it's hard to focus on something else because you're just like, oh my gosh, who's next? Are they doing the entire presentation? And also your inflection. So the movement of the pitch up or down for emphasis. So what I like to do when I'm presenting or giving a training, if there's a piece of information that I am trying to get folks to connect with, there are several things that I do. And it's really based on the type of reaction or the way that I want them to connect with it. So the pitch of my voice may get lower, the pitch of my voice may get higher. As far as my body language, I may lean in because I want to connect with them. I want to bring them into me. So, and the other thing too, with your vocal characteristics are your enunciation. So the way that you articulate what you're saying and also how you pronounce things. Sometimes people are talking so fast that you can't understand them. Sometimes they are, the words that they are saying, you understand them, but if they articulated them better or pronounced them better, then you'd be able to connect with them more and to truly understand without having to figure it out. Additionally, with nonverbal communication, sometimes people don't realize personal appearance means a lot for people, because you might look a hot mess and you might think that you look, woo, I mean, you stepping out there. However, it can be very distracting. It can be extremely distracting. So making sure you're dressed appropriately. If I'm doing a presentation on basketball and I have some slides and all that, then yes, maybe I show up in a basketball jersey and some basketball shorts, and that's okay, right? But thinking about your audience and thinking about if your attire is appropriate is important. The other thing is chewing gum. There are a lot of people who will go up to a podium and they're chewing gum. Extremely distracting. Your body language, using hand gestures appropriately, walking around. Sometimes people walk around too much, so don't get in the habit of walking around too much, but not staying in the same place is also a good thing, because you have the ability to move a little bit. So you're able to gauge people's attention. And it also helps you read the crowd. Are they really paying attention to what you're saying and watching you? Additionally, having great posture and appropriate facial expressions, as opposed to leaning on the podium or being hunched over. Melissa, you have your hand raised? Oh, you have to unmute, sorry.
I always forget. I don't know if you're getting to it, but hand gestures, I feel like I'm just one of those people. Do you have any suggestions for how we can like tame that down, or what are the best recommended ones?
Yeah, so I am big on hand gestures, and a lot of my photos in the earlier slide, when you were getting to know your trainer, my hands were here or somewhere, right? And I'm big with hand gestures. It is a part of how I naturally communicate. However, you don't want them to be distracting. Sometimes I see folks and they're like welling their hands around, right? And sometimes it's nervousness though. So you need to be able to check where it's coming from. The other thing too is, when I think about the hand gestures I'm making, I think about what I'm trying to emphasize. What do I want people to know? So even as I'm talking right now and my hand is moving, I'm like, what do I want them to know, right? So it's important for you to, one, practice. Sometimes we have cell phones now with cameras, so you can have the camera on you and record yourself doing whatever presentation, or if you're going to conduct an interview, to see what you're doing with your hands. The other thing, for session 2, or next week's session, part 2, we're actually going to watch some videos of some speakers, and so some really great speakers. So you'll have the ability to look at their body language and what they're doing. The other thing I say too, outside of recording yourself doing it, is also being aware of having a self-awareness, right? Being aware of yourself when you're presenting. Sometimes I think some people have an out-of-body experience where they're presenting, but they're not really there because they're trying to get through it, or whatever the case may be, right? So being able to see yourself as you're presenting. Sometimes when I'm presenting, I'll notice that my left hand is moving a lot. So then I'll put my left hand down, because I'm like, okay, that's very distracting. And if it's distracting me, then it's probably distracting the people that I'm talking to, right? So having self-awareness when you're presenting, also recording yourself, I think is great. And then having other people give you feedback. So I would say, don't have your arms welling around and doing all of this, but using some hand gestures to be able to emphasize what you're saying. You don't have to use hand gestures all the time, but being able to use some every now and then to emphasize what you're saying will definitely help with your audience being able to connect, and it also helping show that you're open. Additionally, having appropriate facial expressions. Sometimes people look angry, and then people are like, well, why are you here? And why are you up there? And why are you talking to me? So being mindful of your facial expressions. I remember my middle school graduation, I was one of the speakers for graduation, and my mom recorded it, as she usually does. And when it was over and we got to the house, they ended up telling me, you were up there rolling your eyes. And I'm like, what? I was rolling my eyes. And then they showed me the video and I was rolling my eyes, but not in a, you know, like disrespectful kind of way. I was just talking and doing my speech, but my eyes were just all over the place, right? So it was something that I had to control, but if they hadn't said something to me, I wouldn't have even known. And this was 8th grade. And then also too, not leaning on the podium or being hunched over, and then making sure that you give eye contact to your audience as opposed to reading the paper. That's why having your main points is important, because folks tend to get so caught up on the words that it sounds like you're the Clear Eyes guy. And it's like, no, if I wanted to see the Clear Eyes guy, then I will watch one of the movies he was in or watch a Clear Eyes commercial. So being able to talk and to connect with your audience and be able to see them, right? You don't have to, even if you're not staring at them specifically, but looking at the chair or looking at the floor that's close to them. Those are some techniques that you can do until you start getting really comfortable. So some possible public speaking situations can be meetings with elected officials, conducting or participating in a focus group, having an interview, whether it's through getting hired or if it's with the media, conducting a key informant interview, participating in oral communications, conducting outreach, whether it's door knocking or on the street, participating in a panel, giving a presentation, conducting a Q&A, participating in a support group like AA or NA, surveying, tabling, talking to your doctor, giving a testimony at church, giving a thank you speech, giving a toast at a wedding or a gathering, conducting a training, trying to get out of a ticket with the police, and then also being on the witness stand. Like, these are some possible public speaking situations. So there are so many opportunities that we have to speak in front of others, whether it's on an individual basis or with a large group. And so you have to be able to develop the skill set to feel comfortable with speaking. So we were going to do an activity, and I see it's 11:29. So we are going to do this next week. However, this is called Where Did I Go Wrong? So with the activity, because you all have some homework, I know you didn't know you were going to get some, but you have some homework. So with this particular activity, there are several things wrong with this picture. And so the goal is for you to focus on figure out what are those things that are wrong. So with this picture, I'm just going to tell you, one is the lighting, because for folks who are sitting there looking at the screen, the lighting could be better on the slides. Additionally, you see that the electrical cord that the projector and everything is connected to, like, one, that's a safety hazard, but two, how does that look to the audience, right? It's not a clean look. Additionally, the table is dirty, but if there was a tablecloth, maybe my company tablecloth or whatever, that could be better. There's a paper sitting on top of the projector. The other thing too is, am I passing out any materials or anything that could go on that table? Or could there be a smaller table so it doesn't look like that? I'm leaning on the podium, so I am very relaxed, obviously, while presenting or connecting to these folks, right? So we are going to have an opportunity to use the annotation feature next week. And so with that, this is your homework. So you're going to create 2 photos. One is where did I go wrong? So similar to this, where there are so many things, or at least one thing in the photo that's wrong. And then the other one is, well, look at me now. So with the where did I go wrong photo, it should be a photo with you in it. showing you doing what is wrong. So some form of public speaking, whether you have some papers and you're acting like you're doing a survey, or you're conducting an interview, or being interviewed by the media, or doing tabling, whatever it is, right? To be able to show something where you went wrong. The other thing is, well, look at me now. So you're going to be in the photo, but you're going to show you doing something right. So it doesn't have to be the exact same photo where it looks wrong and looks right. It could be two different things. And then you're going to send the photos to me at southbayprevention@gmail.com. And then we're going to use some of your photos next week to be a part of part 2 for Speak Up. So lastly, there are always 3 speeches. And Dale Carnegie said this: there are always 3 speeches for every one you actually gave. The one you practiced, the one you gave, and the one you wished you gave. So keep that in mind as you are doing your public speaking. We are going to talk about command presence next week. We are also going to look at some speeches of some folks who've done really well, and also some presentations. And we're going to have an opportunity to focus more in detail on some of those skills. So we are going to take some questions before we get out of here. And Tosin, in the chat box, if you could put the post-test link and the eval link, and then this will also come in email form for you all. So questions, we can either do the raise hand feature, or you can type it in the chat box. All right. Anybody have any questions? I got a message that said we should do a training on how to get out of a ticket with the police. So I don't know if I'm the right one for that. I've never had to do that, but seeing no questions, I want to thank everyone for participating today. And I hope that you all were able to truly get something out of the information that was shared. Tosin is going to close us out.
Jen, I have one question.
Yes.
I'm just curious, is it generic for public speaking when you not able to, speak? I mean,
are you saying when you don't have something prepared?
Yeah, is it generic? I mean, public speaking, when people have public speaking problem, is it generic? I'm just curious on that.
So in regards to the different problems that people may have with public speaking, it depends on the person. So yes, there are some general things. I wouldn't call them generic, but there are definitely some general things that folks are have issues with when it comes to public speaking. So one is fear. Like that's actually the #1 thing that's reported is fear. Most people have fear with public speaking, and it's debilitating for them. So they can't actually get out there, or they won't typically volunteer to be the person to speak, right? Some other things with fear, with public speaking are around judgment. People have reported not feeling prepared. Additionally, people have talked about their having challenges with their audience or the topic that they have to present. So those are some of the challenges that people typically have when it comes to public speaking. There are a long list of challenges that people have reported in regards to public speaking. However, when it comes to you getting up there to say something, if you are not prepared, as I mentioned earlier, there are things that you can do. So one is, if it's connected to your organization or connected to your family or whatever it is, right, you should be prepared to say something. So just in case the opportunity comes up where someone needs you to speak or you want to speak. So then that way you are comfortable enough to get up there.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Nora, you can unmute yourself. I saw your hand.
Nothing, no question. I'm fine, thank you.
Okay, all right, awesome. So Tosin, take it away.
Thank you, Jen, for that presentation. I learned a lot, and I hope you all did as well. So I put in the chat box the sign-in again, if you did not do so already, and then the post-test, which is tied to the pre-test, and then the evaluation is separate from that. So if you can complete all of those when you get a moment, these will also be emailed to you. So you'll get them as an email link. And then if you need CEUs or a certificate of completion, those will be emailed by the end of the month. That will be on the evaluation. Or is it the post-test? You can select the post-test, you can select if you need a certificate of completion. And I want to give a big round of applause to Jen for doing a great job. Yes.
Thank you, Jen. Thank you.
And if you have any questions or comments, please email Jen at southbayprevention@gmail.com. And lastly, these are the upcoming workshops that we have. There is one tomorrow on evaluation tools. And then as Jen mentioned, she will be doing part 2 of this workshop on the 22nd. So please join us again for the second portion. And then there will be an additional week of workshops, and that registration will be going out on Saturday. So thank you all for joining us. We appreciate your time, and we might have another Zoom call to jump on. If you have any questions, Jen, are you going to stay on for a bit, or?
Yeah, I can stay on if folks have questions. And thank you all very much. Enjoy the rest of your day. And happy birthday, Tosin and Melissa.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.